Bali looks perfect on Instagram. Paradise beaches, infinity pools, jungle villas. It's marketed like the ultimate tropical dream where every day feels like a postcard. And don't get me wrong, it can be beautiful. But stay here longer than a week and you start noticing things nobody talks about in the travel ads. Things that slowly chip away at that perfect image, like stepping outside your villa and finding a pile of trash tucked behind picture-perfect rice fields, or trying to enjoy a quiet evening, while geckos leave tiny surprises all over the furniture. Walking to a cafe becomes an extreme sport because the sidewalk ends, literally, and scooters fly past your elbow like you're in a live video game. And just when you think you'll take a stroll at sunset, boom, it's pitch black at 6 p.m. every single day. Then there's the beach town infrastructure. Narrow streets, low buildings, barely any malls, and surprisingly few real supermarkets. If you need anything beyond snacks and bottled drinks, congratulations. You're going on a scooter mission. Getting electronics fixed? Buying camera gear? Good luck. Even everyday tasks become complicated. Laundry isn't in your villa. It's a separate business. Washing clothes becomes part budgeting, part logistics. Driving? Traffic rules feel optional. Maps say 30 minutes. Reality says an hour or more. Dusty roads, potholes, trucks blasting dirt into your face. It's part of the experience. And sugar? It appears in everything. You want plain yogurt? Good luck finding one without sugar hiding in it. Order juice without saying no sugar, and you're getting glowing syrup disguised as fruit. Water quality adds another layer. Tap water isn't drinkable, so you're constantly buying bottles, cooking with them, brushing your teeth with them, and dodging accidental sips in the shower. Oh, and hot water isn't always guaranteed. Add stray dogs roaming the streets, often unvaccinated, and suddenly a casual walk can turn into you doing mental calculations about rabies shots. So yeah, Bali is beautiful. That's real. But there's another side nobody warns you about. And today, we're going to talk about it. These are 10 things people don't like about living in Bali. The stuff beyond the resorts, beyond the filtered photos, and beyond the tropical fantasy. Let's get into it. You know what really surprised me about Bali? The trash. Nobody warns you about it. You're walking through these absolutely stunning rice terraces, postcard perfect views, and then, just a few steps off the path, boom. A random pile of garbage tucked behind a wall or under a tree like someone tried to hide it, but didn't even try that hard. It's this strange contrast that's hard to unsee. On Instagram, Bali looks untouched and eco-organic. In reality, you'll see plastic bottles, food packaging, and old electronics dumped on the side of the road. Even in areas you'd expect to be mature and well-maintained, you'll find trash just sitting there, collecting flies. And here's the thing, Bali produces thousands of tons of waste every single day. The waste management system just can't keep up. A lot of trash gets burned, buried, or tossed into rivers, and eventually, it ends up everywhere it shouldn't be. And with trash comes the rats. If you stay anywhere near rice fields, which look super peaceful at first, you'll quickly realize you're not alone. You'll hear them at night, scratching in the walls or rustling through garbage. They're attracted to the food waste from warungs, night markets, and the tourism boom. And because a lot of kitchens are outdoors, it's basically an open buffet. You'll see them running across electrical wires, darting between alleyways, and occasionally popping up in places you definitely don't want to see a rat. And no, this isn't about being picky. Rats can carry diseases, and seeing them regularly is a sign of how big the waste problem really is. What makes this even stranger is how close the beauty sits next to the ugly. You'll be sitting in some luxury cafe overlooking a dreamy green field, while right behind the parking lot, there's a mountain of plastic bags nobody talks about. It doesn't ruin Bali, but it absolutely shatters the fantasy that it's some clean, untouched paradise. And if you're expecting perfection, this one hits you fast. One of the things nobody really prepares you for in Bali is just how many little creatures come with the tropical lifestyle. And I'm not talking about the cute, friendly kind. I mean the crawlers, the geckos, the ants, the bugs you've never seen before that just casually appear on your wall like they pay rent. Let's start with the geckos. They're literally everywhere. Inside your bedroom, on the bathroom ceiling, behind the curtains. At first, you might think, oh, they're harmless. And they are. But they also leave tiny little poop gifts all over the place. Shelves, countertops, floors. It's like playing a daily game of, what did the gecko leave for me today? And then there are the ants. Tropical ants don't mess around. You leave a snack on the table for 5 minutes, and suddenly there's an army. They can sniff out food through packaging you thought was sealed. I've seen people hide food inside microwaves or fridges, not because they're being dramatic, but because that's the only place ants won't invade. And yes, you'll occasionally meet cockroaches. They don't care if you're in a cheap guest house or a fancy villa. It's humid, it's warm, it's paradise for them. But here's where it gets interesting. A lot of villas in Bali have outdoor kitchens. It looks amazing in photos, cooking under the stars, surrounded by nature. But if you're staying near rice fields, guess who else loves that setup? Rats. They come out at night like it's a buffet, sniffing around for anything you forgot to put away. And it's not just the bugs, it's the architecture. Houses and villas in Bali are built open. Gaps in doors, open ceilings, decorative ventilation holes. It's meant to keep the airflow moving in the humidity. But it also means there's basically no such thing as inside and outside. Everything comes in. Compared to Western closed construction, where you can seal up every crack and corner, Bali's design is like a friendly invitation to the entire insect population. It's not unlivable, but if you're expecting a spotless, controlled, sterile environment, this is a reality check. You learn to live with nature whether you want to or not. Now let's talk about something that sounds small, until you actually experience it. The sidewalks. Or more accurately, the lack of sidewalks. In a lot of tourist areas, even popular spots like Ubud, walking can feel like an obstacle course. You'll see sidewalks that are cracked, uneven, and randomly patched together like someone ran out of materials halfway through the job. And then out of nowhere, there's a massive hole. Not a tiny crack. A hole big enough for your entire leg to disappear into. One wrong step, and you're on the ground rethinking every decision that led you here. And sometimes, the sidewalk just ends. You're walking comfortably, you blink, and suddenly you're on the edge of a road with scooters brushing past your elbow at 40 kilometers per hour. There's no warning, no barrier, just pure adrenaline. It's not just uncomfortable, it's genuinely risky. The traffic in Bali is chaotic. Motorbikes weave through cars, drivers make quick decisions, and you're stuck hugging the side of the road like you're trying to blend into the wall. And good luck crossing the street. It's like trying to merge onto a highway, on foot. Let's talk about the smell. When you're walking that close to traffic, you're inhaling straight motorbike fumes. Hot exhaust right in your face. After a few minutes, you start to feel it in your throat. Combine that with the humidity, and suddenly the romantic idea of just exploring on foot becomes a sweaty guerrilla mission. And then there's nighttime. Poor street lighting means you can barely see the ground. Those same ankle-breaking holes? Invisible after 7 p.m. Locals know where they are, you don't. And that's exactly when you learn that your phone flashlight is now your best friend. This is why everyone rents scooters. Not because it's cool or efficient, but because walking is sometimes the most dangerous option. If you love going for long, relaxing walks on vacation, Bali humbles that dream quickly. Something that really catches a lot of people off guard when they come to Bali is how early it gets dark. You imagine tropical islands as places where the sunset drags on forever. Golden skies, long, warm evenings. But in reality, Bali gets dark fast, and it gets dark early. By around 6 p.m., the sun is basically gone, and there's not much of a slow fade between daylight and night. One moment you're in bright sunshine, and about 20 minutes later, you're squinting to see where the sidewalk ends and where that pothole begins. Here's why. Bali sits just south of the equator. And near the equator, the length of day and night doesn't change much throughout the year. There's no dramatic winter versus summer sunlight difference like you'd get in Europe or North America. Instead, every day is roughly 12 hours of daylight and 12 hours of darkness. That's it. Consistency, but not necessarily in a good way if you love long evenings. Also, the sun doesn't glide across the horizon the way it does in higher latitudes. It drops at a much steeper angle, which means sunsets are short and twilight doesn't linger. That romantic blue hour photographers rave about lasts about as long as your scooter rental paperwork. So what does this mean in real life? If you're out exploring, once it hits 6 p.m., everything suddenly feels less vibrant. Streets without lighting get sketchy fast. Those sidewalk holes we talked about? Nighttime turns them into invisible traps. And because public lighting isn't exactly Bali's strong point, walking after sunset becomes a tactical mission with your phone, flashlight glued to your hand. It also affects your productivity. You think you have the whole afternoon ahead of you. And then boom, darkness. You'll hear a lot of digital nomads complaining that they lose track of time and suddenly feel like the day ended before their to-do list did. It's not a trip-ruining flaw, but it definitely changes your daily rhythm. If you're used to long summer evenings where you can relax outside until 9 or 10 p.m., Bali will feel strangely compressed. The day is beautiful, but the night sneaks up on you hard and fast. One thing that surprises a lot of people about Bali is that, despite its global popularity, the entire island has this Western beach town vibe everywhere. Narrow streets, small buildings, low-rise architecture. If you're expecting a tropical metropolis with modern infrastructure, skyscrapers, and giant shopping malls, yeah, that doesn't exist here. Most of Bali feels like a collection of surf towns stitched together. Charming? Sure, but it comes with some trade-offs. Let's start with supplies. Supermarkets are surprisingly scarce. You'll see tons of convenience stores, mini-marts, and local warungs, but they usually don't stock fresh meat, refrigerated foods, or much variety beyond snacks and drinks. If you want real groceries, vegetables, meat, seafood, specialty ingredients, you often have to travel to one of the few bigger supermarket chains. And they're not always close. And that's where the scooter becomes less of an option and more of a requirement. If you're staying in a remote villa, which is common because everyone chases the view, you'll quickly realize you need to ride 10 to 20 minutes just to buy basic supplies. No delivery culture like you'd find in major cities. No giant 24-hour grocery store around the corner. Just you, your helmet, and Google Maps praying you don't take a wrong turn into a rice field. And what about malls? There are a few, but nothing that compares to the shopping complexes in Bangkok, Kuala Lumpur, or Singapore. You won't find endless levels of electronics stores, repair shops, camera gear, accessories, clothing brands, or hardware variety. If something breaks, like your laptop charger or camera lens, good luck finding a replacement quickly. Service centers are limited, and supplies are often imported, meaning higher prices and slower availability. Even the main tourist hotspots don't really shift into city mode. It's all low buildings, beach bars, yoga cafes, boutique shops, and narrow roads barely wide enough for two cars to pass. It's cozy, until you actually need something important. This is the part nobody talks about. Bali isn't built like a big city. It's built like a holiday town, scaled to millions of tourists. And that gap becomes obvious the longer you stay. If you love convenience, big selection, and I'll just grab it quickly shopping, Bali will test your patience. The island's infrastructure never evolved into metropolitan efficiency. It stayed low, beachy, casual, everywhere you go. Beautiful? Yes. But practical? Not always. Another thing that catches a lot of people off guard in Bali is the laundry situation. You can rent a beautiful villa with a private pool, jungle views, and an outdoor shower that looks like it came straight off Pinterest. And somehow, there's still no washing machine. That's because here, laundry is treated as a separate business. Instead of washing your clothes at home, you drop them off at a local laundry shop, pay by the kilogram, and wait a day or two to get them back. It sounds convenient at first. Someone else does the washing, drying, folding. Great, right? Until you actually live here. First, timing becomes a thing. If you're traveling, working, or just forget to drop your clothes off, suddenly you're out of clean shirts. And when it's 30 degrees with humidity at 90%, you go through clothes fast. Miss a day, and you're wearing yesterday's sauna outfit. Then there's quality. Some laundry places do a great job, others not so much. Clothes can come back with detergent smells that could knock out a small animal, random stains, mismatched items, or shrinkage because dryers here often feel like industrial flamethrowers. And if you're sensitive to fragrances, good luck. Unscented detergent isn't exactly common. And while the price seems cheap at first, it adds up, especially if you're active, if you train, or if you work outdoors. Suddenly, laundry becomes a weekly line item in your budget you didn't think about. Now, you can hand wash your clothes, many people do, but drying them is another challenge. The humidity means things dry slowly. They can pick up a musty smell, and if you leave them outside overnight, congratulations. You just created a buffet for geckos to leave their droppings on. Why not just rent a place with a washer? Because even villas costing thousands per month often don't have one. They're just not standard here. Space, plumbing, maintenance, and culturally, outsourcing laundry is easier. It's not a deal breaker, but it's one of those everyday realities nobody puts in the brochure. You imagine island life being effortless, and then find yourself scheduling your day around when your socks will be ready for pickup. Beautiful beaches, great sunsets, but the laundry situation? Surprisingly inconvenient. Let's talk about traffic in Bali, because this is one of the biggest shocks people get when they arrive. On Google Maps, everything looks close. You'll check a route and it says 35 minutes. Sounds reasonable, right? In reality, that's often over an hour, especially by car. Those little blue lines don't show you the endless bottlenecks, the narrow village roads, and the fact that everyone else is trying to go to the exact same cafe at the exact same time. This is why scooters rule the island. On a car, you're stuck. On a scooter, you can squeeze through tiny gaps, pass 100 vehicles stuck in a static line, and shave your travel time in half. It's not about convenience, it's survival. And speaking of passing, traffic rules in Bali are more like gentle suggestions. People drive against traffic. They drive on sidewalks. They run red lights like they're trying to set a personal record. Overtaking happens on both the left and the right simultaneously, and sometimes by someone wearing flip-flops and balancing groceries with one hand. This means you can't just watch the road in front of you. You need eyes everywhere. Your mirrors become your best friend. Someone can appear out of nowhere, at any angle, at any speed. It's not chaotic because people are reckless. It's chaotic because the system evolved around scooters, not cars. If you're staying anywhere near the mountains or rural areas, here's another surprise. No Grab or ride-hailing services. Once you're out there, you're on your own. Need a ride? Better hope your accommodation can find a driver. Or you'll be hiking back like you're on a National Geographic expedition. And then there's the dust. Bali roads can be dry, unpaved, or constantly under construction. Get stuck behind a truck or a cement mixer, and suddenly you're eating a face full of dust, gravel, and exhaust fumes. Sunglasses become goggles. Your skin feels like you just got sandblasted. It's not glamorous, it's gritty. Road conditions don't help either. Many roads are narrow, patched, and riddled with potholes. Two cars passing each other feels like they're trying to solve a geometry puzzle. At night, it's even worse. Poor lighting hides everything. Potholes, bumps, random obstacles, and you have no idea what you're rolling over. All of this means that transportation in Bali is not just get in and go. It's a strategy. Timing, route selection, vehicle choice, and nerves of steel. If you're used to orderly traffic and strict enforcement, Bali is going to feel like a whole different planet. Beautiful island, stunning views. But getting from point A to point B, that's an adventure in itself. If you care about what you eat, especially sugar, Bali can be a minefield. Sugar is everywhere. And I don't mean in cakes or desserts. I mean in things you'd never expect. You walk into a shop thinking you're buying plain yogurt, maybe buttermilk, maybe some simple cream for your coffee. And then you check the label. Surprise, it's sweetened. In Bali, the default assumption is that everything tastes better with sugar. Natural, unsweetened dairy products can be surprisingly hard to find. Even when the packaging looks plain, there's often sugar mixed in anyway. It's like a hidden ingredient nobody talks about. And then there's juice. Imagine ordering a fresh watermelon juice on a hot day. Sounds amazing, right? But if you don't clearly say no sugar, the default is to dump in a generous squeeze of syrup. Not because they're sabotaging your diet, but because locals genuinely prefer it that way. It's cultural taste. Sweet equals delicious. The problem is the sugar they use isn't always just regular sugar. Sometimes it's a syrup mix with artificial colors and flavors designed to make the drink glow like it's radioactive. Great for Instagram. Not so great for your pancreas. This gets frustrating if you're health conscious. You have to be on alert, asking questions everywhere you go. No sugar? Unsweetened? Plain? And even then, sometimes the answer is just a little bit, which usually means a lot. It turns into a daily negotiation. Want coffee? Better specify no sweetened creamer, because the default is sugary powder. Want iced tea? Default? Sugar bomb. Want smoothies? Yup, syrup. It's not impossible to eat clean in Bali, but you really need to pay attention. Read labels. Ask questions. Repeat yourself. Because the island's taste profile leans heavily towards sweet, even in places you'd never expect. If you're watching your sugar intake, Bali will force you into detective mode real quick. Let's talk about water in Bali. Because this is one of those everyday realities nobody puts on the postcard. The tap water here is not safe to drink. Full stop. It's not filtered to the same standard you might be used to, and it can contain bacteria and contaminants that your stomach definitely won't appreciate. That means you're constantly thinking about water in ways you never had to before. Brushing your teeth? Use bottled water. Cooking rice, pasta, soups? Bottled water. Making coffee? Bottled water. Suddenly you're hauling big jugs of water home like you're preparing for the apocalypse. Because if you run out, you're stuck boiling tap water and hoping for the best. Even showers become strategic. You have to be careful not to accidentally get water in your mouth. It sounds simple, but try doing that while washing your face, breathing steam, and rinsing shampoo. It's surprisingly easy to slip. One wrong gulp, and you might be booking a romantic dinner for two with your bathroom. And ice cubes? Oh boy, many places still use tap water to make ice. If you're in touristy cafes or reputable restaurants, you're generally safe, but cheaper local spots can be a gamble. Travelers get sick simply from iced drinks. You have to become that person who double-checks everything. Is this ice made from filtered water? You'll say it so often it becomes your catchphrase. And then there's the shower situation. Hot water isn't guaranteed. Even in villas that look fantastic on Airbnb, the hot water can show up as a sad, lukewarm drizzle, or not at all. Of course, when it's 32 degrees Celsius outside, you probably won't freeze. But try taking a cold shower on a rainy evening with humidity sucking the warmth out of the air. It's not pleasant. All of this adds a layer of inconvenience to daily life. Most people don't realize how much they rely on safe running water until they don't have it. In Bali, you become hyper-aware. What you cook with, what you clean with, what you drink, what you freeze, what splashes on your face. It doesn't ruin the experience. Plenty of people adapt. But it's definitely not the tropical fantasy version of island life you imagined. In Bali, water isn't just water. It's something you have to think about every single day. Another thing you'll definitely notice in Bali is the dogs. There are a lot of them, especially stray dogs. They roam freely, hang around restaurants, sleep in the middle of the road, and wander through villages without anyone really paying attention. It's part of the island's everyday landscape. But here's where it gets complicated. Unlike in many Western countries, pets aren't typically taken to the vet for checkups, vaccinations, or treatments. Even dogs that technically have owners are often left unvaccinated, unfed, or untreated for basic health issues. Many are skinny, covered in fleas, or suffering from old injuries that never healed properly. This becomes a real concern when you're just trying to take a walk. Stray dogs can form territorial groups. They'll bark, growl, or sometimes chase people passing through what they consider their street. Most of the time, they're bluffing. Noise is their way of saying, keep moving. But even a friendly bite here can be dangerous because rabies exists in Bali. And that's the scary part. You don't need a vicious attack. A playful nip or scratch is enough to send you to the clinic for rabies shots. and you have to get them fast. It's not something you can ignore. Tourists are often surprised because the dogs look calm during the day, lounging like they're on vacation themselves. But at night, their behavior changes. They form packs, become more territorial, and can be more aggressive when startled. Walking alone after dark? You'll learn very quickly to scan ahead for dogs. There are rescue groups doing great work, and some areas are actively trying to vaccinate and spay dogs. But the scale of the problem is big. Tourism grew fast. Animal welfare didn't grow with it. It's not that the locals are cruel. Culturally, dogs here are often more free-roaming guardians than pampered indoor pets. But the result is the same. Lots of unvaccinated, untreated dogs wandering around the island. Most visitors avoid trouble, but it's something you have to be aware of. If you're used to the Western standard, leashes, microchips, regular vet visits, dog parks, Bali will feel like another planet. Cute. Sometimes, charming, maybe, but safe? Not always. And here's the thing. By no means is Bali all bad. It's easy to point out the flaws, but because the contrasts are so extreme. One minute you're staring at a pile of trash, and the next you're watching the most incredible sunset of your life over perfect green rice terraces. That contrast is everywhere. For every gecko leaving droppings in your bathroom, there's a peaceful morning with birds and a jungle breeze. For every chaotic traffic jam, there's a quiet scooter ride through palm-lined roads that feels like freedom. And yes, for every inconvenient detail, there's something unbelievably beautiful right next to it. It's also true that you could easily make a video called 10 Things I Love About Bali, and it would be just as long, maybe even longer. Warm people, amazing food, laid-back lifestyle, affordable services, breathtaking nature. There's a reason millions of people keep coming back. Whether the pros outweigh the cons really depends on you, your lifestyle, your expectations, your priorities. Some people embrace the chaos and never want to leave. Others arrive thinking they've found paradise and realize the everyday reality just isn't for them. There's no right answer. Bali isn't perfect, but that's what makes it real. If you can accept the rough edges, the island gives you so much in return. And if you can't, well, that's okay too. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next one.